Jamaicans in the diaspora with Jamaicans of like mind in Jamaica.
We always need to hear both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Connecting the Jamaican diaspora abroad and at home.
Both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story.
Yes, both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story, highlighting the positive role of the Jamaican diaspora. Both sides of the story.
We always need to hear both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Time now for Both Sides of the Story, the story of Jamaicans at home and Jamaicans abroad on Power 106 FM. We will not take sides, but we listen to your side. Stay with us as we explore the issues, present the facts, speak with the experts, and as always, listen to both sides. What's your story? Tell us on Both Sides of the Story by calling our local numbers 876-922-41125. You can listen to Both Sides of the Story on the Power 106 FM app via the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, as well as on onespotmedia.com. Plus, listeners in the USA can dial 631-359-8281 to listen. And if you're in the UK and you wish to dial a number to listen to Power 106 FM, you can call 0330-606-0953. You can watch Both Sides of the Story live on the Dervan Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Both Sides 106. Email bothsides106@live.com. Send your WhatsApp voice notes or your messages and text messages to 876-365-3346. Remember, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. So stay with us as we listen to Both Sides of the Story.
Both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Both sides of the story. Knowledge is power. Class is in session. Power 106.
Nature has opened its gargantuan mouth once again, greedily devouring massive man-made embellishments, skyscrapers, ships, houses, aircraft, buses, trains, even the so-called earthquake-resistant nuclear plants. Violent tremors rock the Earth's belly, cutting it into a million tiny fragments. The Pacific Sea, a ferocious 10-headed snake, raises its monstrous head and lashes out at man's arrogance. In a matter of minutes, the palace of dreams comes crashing down like a pack of cards and becomes one with a dry, barren earth. The giant tsunami has crippled the Earth's core, destroying it beyond recognition. Cyclopean structures now resemble shattered pieces of biscuits. Human and animal debris float all around. Its foul stench enveloping the sick, polluted air. It seems the whole world is on the verge of collapse. A genuine apocalyptic scene where death plays the king of the world. Who is to be blamed for this massive catastrophe? Man or nature? They say, beware, it's nature's wrath. Her cold, hard-hearted vengeance on mankind. However, nature says, I have suffered your insults since time immemorial. I can stand it no longer. Now it's your chance to pay the price for your deadly deeds. Man has indeed paid for his conceited pride and beastly ways. It took only a few minutes for nature to satisfy her long underfed appetite. A faint smile of contentment crosses her pursed lips. She opens her twisted mouth and indiscriminately splashes gallons of water on the face of the terribly devastated earth. Are you still sleeping? Isn't it time to wake up? She says, with a tinge of sarcasm, and closes the colossal gateways of earth with an iron hand.
What about sunrise? What about rain? What about all things that said we were to gain? What about killing fears? Is there a time? What about all things that you said was yours and mine? Did you ever stop to notice all the blood we shed before? Did you ever stop to notice this crying earth, this weeping shore? What have we done to the world? Look what we've done. What about all the peace that you pledged your only son? What about flowerless fields? Is there a time? What about all the dreams that you said was yours and mine? Did you ever stop to notice all the children dead from war? Did you ever stop to notice this crying earth, this weeping shore? I used to dream, I used to dance beyond the stars. Now I don't know where we are. Oh, but I know
We're still in the International Decade of Healthy Aging, the International Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, the Decade of Action for Road Safety, and 2024 is the UN International Decade of Indigenous Languages. It's the 22nd day of the fourth month of 2024. The month of April is being observed as World Autism Awareness Month. It's Arab American Heritage Month in America. Also in America, April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Here in Jamaica, April is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, Farmers Month, Financial Literacy Month, and National Sexually Transmitted Infections Awareness Month. Today is Oklahoma Day in the USA, and as you perhaps detected by virtue of our selections, it's Earth Day, and that's the main observance we're featuring here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM on this Earth Day. Hoy es lunes, el 22 de abril 2024, y les saludamos en cualquier parte del mundo que nos están escuchando en este momento. Estamos muy agradecidos por el don de la vida y el privilegio de servirles en otra edición de su programa, Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia. Nunca vamos a tomar su audiencia por sentado, porque sabemos que ustedes tienen otras opciones. Y esta es la razón por la cual jamás olvidamos darle las gracias por elegir Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia, de lunes a viernes, desde las 2 hasta las 5 de la tarde, aquí en Power 106 FM. La misión continúa para educar, capacitar, iluminar y estimular el espíritu empresarial. Bienvenidos. C'est lundi le 22 avril 2024 et nous vous saluons tous qui nous écoutent, que vous soyez dans le monde. Nous sommes reconnaissants du don de la vie ainsi que du privilège d'être à votre service pour une nouvelle édition de votre programme Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre. Nous ne considérons pas votre fidélité comme allant de soi parce que nous savons que vous avez l'embarras du choix. C'est pourquoi nous n'oublions jamais de vous remercier de choisir d'écouter Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre, du lundi au vendredi de 2h à 5h de l'après-midi sur notre antenne Power 106 FM. Nous continuons notre mission d'éduquer, d'habiliter, d'éclairer et d'encourager l'esprit d'entreprise. Bienvenue.
Follow the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development on Instagram and X at LocalGovJA. The time by the ministry is
2:15. Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited and its subsidiary Environmental Science and Technology Limited, the leading environmental management consultancy firm in Jamaica for over 36 years, join in celebrating World Earth Day 2022 under the theme Invest in Our Planet. Let us use the Earth's resources conservatively and wisely. CDA STEC operates by the slogans quality service at its best and science and technology for sustainable development. Call them 876-929-8824.
Both Sides of the Story.
Confidence in those who serve, especially in the public sector, is vital to Jamaica's progress towards Vision 2030 and beyond. Many people have quietly and diligently given sterling service over the years to the benefit of many Jamaicans at home and across the world. Our 106 FM in playing its part in showcasing those individuals who served in building our nation and to create greater public understanding and appreciation of their sacrifice presents the feature Service Stalwarts. Listen to Service Stalwarts every Wednesday at 4 p.m. during Both Sides of the Story with Dervan Malcolm starting Wednesday, April 24, right here on Power 106 FM.
And if you're wondering what we were saying earlier on, well, all we were saying is it's Monday, the 22nd of April, 2024, and we greet you well, wherever in the world you are listening to us right now. We remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices. And that's why we never ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to Both Sides of the Story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome.
What have we done to the world? Look what we've done. What about all the peace that you pledged your only son? What about flowering fields? Is there a time? What about all the dreams that you said was yours and mine? Did you ever stop to notice all the children in the war? Did you ever stop to notice this crying earth, this weeping shore?
Earth Day 2024 is a global celebration of environmental education and action, and it's happening today. And in fact, they're marking the 54th anniversary of Earth Day. The theme of Earth Day 2024 is Planet versus Plastics. Planet versus Plastics. And it aims to raise awareness and reduce plastic pollution, plastic production, and pollution. So, those are some of the basic details we're sharing with you. Earth Day is an annual event on April 22nd to demonstrate support for environmental protection. First held on April 22nd, 1970. It now includes a wide range of events coordinated globally by earthday.org. So there's a little more for you. And in terms of Earth Day history, Earth Day was founded in 1970 as a day of education about environmental issues, and Earth Day 2024 is today, Monday, the 22nd of April. The holiday is now a global celebration that's sometimes extended into Earth Week, a full 7 days of events focused on green living and confronting the climate crisis. The brainchild of Senator Gaylord Nelson and inspired by the protests of the 1960s, Earth Day began as a national teach-in on the environment and was held on April 22nd to maximize the number of students who could be reached on university campuses. By raising public awareness of pollution, Nelson hoped to bring environmental causes into the national spotlight. By the early 1960s, Americans were becoming aware of the effects of pollution on the environment. Rachel Carson's 1962 bestseller, Silent Spring, raised the specter of the dangerous effects of pesticides on the American countryside. Later in the decade, a 1969 fire on Cleveland's Cuyahoga River shed light on the problem of chemical waste disposal. Until that time, protecting the planet's natural resources was not part of the national political agenda, and the number of activists devoted to large-scale issues such as industrial pollution was minimal. Factories pumped pollutants into the air, lakes, and rivers with few legal consequences. Big gas-guzzling cars were considered a sign of prosperity. Only a small portion of the American population was familiar with, let alone practiced, recycling. Did you know a highlight of the United Nations Earth Day celebration in New York City is the ringing of the peace bell, a gift from Japan at the exact moment of the vernal equinox. So who started Earth Day? I think we told you a short while ago, but for emphasis, elected to the US Senate in 1962, Senator Gaylord Nelson, a Democrat from Wisconsin, was determined to convince the federal government that the planet was at risk. In 1969, Nelson, considered one of the leaders of the modern environmental movement, developed the idea for Earth Day after being inspired by the anti-Vietnam War teach-ins. Teach-ins, Teach-ins. So developed the idea for Earth Day after being inspired by the anti-Vietnam War teach-ins. that were taking place on college campuses around the United States. According to Nelson, he envisioned a large scale grassroots environmental demonstration to shake up the political establishment and force this issue onto the national agenda. Nelson announced the Earth Day concept at a conference in Seattle in the fall of 1969 and invited the entire nation to get involved. And the story goes on. You can read on. There's information. Just Google Earth Day, Earth Day 2024. The History Channel has a lot of information on that as well. And feel free to share the information with the children. After all, they are the ones more likely to carry on the message. And so that's the gist of what we're talking about and what we're observing and celebrating on this Earth Day 2024. Let's greet you wherever in the world you are, and thank you very much for making it both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM as we greet our listeners. Valerie Weller Carpeck, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your message. Cynthia Jackson, good afternoon to you too. Faye Weller says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan and faithful listeners. Let us give God thanks to be here another Monday, says Faye Weller. Mikey Jarrett says, good afternoon, blessings and blessed love, my brother Dervan Malcolm from Brooklyn, New York. Welcome, Mikey Jarrett in Brooklyn, New York. Good to have you on board. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate you. Ricardo in Glengoff, St. Catherine has also joined us. Thank you, Ricardo, for joining us here on both sides of the story. Remember the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876 365 3346. 876 365 3346. We see a lot of messages on WhatsApp as well as on the text line. We'll do our best to go through as many of them as possible. Let's see if we can get in a few before we have to break for Land Solutions. Good afternoon to Bishop Douglas, who is always keeping in touch with us. Good to have you on board, Bishop. Ella Reid also sharing her interest. This looks like a video which we can't play without auditioning. Kevin Galloway, good afternoon to you too. This one says, greetings, blessings, and history information. Dr. Frank Lawrence, Free Villager, had his 91st birthday Saturday, April 20th. He is still going strong and holding on to the promises of Psalm 91:16. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. Belated birthday greetings from his mentee, Garfield Stanley Jr. Hope he heard. All the best. Lloyd Dennis, good afternoon to you. Thank you for clocking in. Good to have you join us. He says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan. Thanks for helping to maintain a moral baseline for Jamaicans everywhere. Always appreciate your discourse. We try, Lloyd Dennis, we try. Thank you very much for your message and all the very best to you and yours as we go through these messages and pass them on accordingly. Calvin in North York, Ontario, always in touch with us. We appreciate that, Calvin. Thank you. And Horace, otherwise known as Spider, has a question, but perhaps after Land Solutions and that scheduled, I think we have a scheduled interview coming up as well. But for the moment, let's take a break and come back with more on both sides of the story.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:30.
Poor roads a major concern? What about those drains that are in need of repair or cleaning? Who's responsible for repairing my road and when will it be done? Join us this and every Tuesday morning at 8 during Morning Agenda as we travel on our roads with the National Works Agency and get answers to these and other concerns. You're welcome to visit their website at www.nwa.gov.jm. See the tender notices link for projects to be undertaken. You may also call them toll-free at 1-888-429-5NWA. That's 1-888-429-5692. Or follow them on Twitter at NWA_JA and Facebook at www.facebook.com/NWA Jamaica. The National Works Agency, developing safe, reliable, and quality roads.
It's a Monday afternoon, just after 2:30, and you know what that means, right? It's that time again for Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with. Anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land, you've come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call: 876-922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number. If you wish to send a text message or a WhatsApp message, you can send the information to 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. The website is landsolutionsja.com. landsolutionsja.com. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/landsolutionsja, facebook.com/landsolutionsja. The law firm Brown, Findley and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. All are encouraged to call ahead instead of just turning up at the law offices of Brown, Findley and Company. And so the numbers to call the law firm Brown, Findley and Company: 876-387-3183, 876-387-3183. And I'm sure there's another number. Yes, we have other numbers. There is 876-908-1950, 876-908-1950. And there's also 876-908-3518. That's 876-908-3518. And in a moment, let's say hello and good afternoon to your host on today's edition of Land Solutions. Let's see. Yes, let's welcome Alicia Findley. Calicia Findley, I beg your pardon. Calicia Findley.
Good afternoon, listeners. Thank you for tuning in to today's edition of Land Solutions. I'm Calicia Findley, and the text and WhatsApp number for today is 876-881-5254. Again, that's 876-881-5254. And I will jump straight into the messages that are already coming in. And I haven't even started yet, but thanks as always to our loyal listeners. If after making a will, I got married, will that change anything? Yes, that changes everything. Marriage revokes a will. Again, marriage cancels a will. So if you have a will, and then you get married, it's as if you never made a will at all. Make a will last week Monday, you got married last week Wednesday, you died last week Friday, you died without a will. So if you get married after you make a will, please do another will. It's as simple as that. You cannot rely on the previous will. The question that always follows that, what about a divorce? Does a divorce cancel a will? No. Unfortunately, no. A divorce does not cancel a will. Only a marriage can automatically cancel a will. But it goes without saying, if you have a will and then you get divorced, it is advisable that you certainly revisit your will to change anything that may need changing. Again, our numbers to call in live on air, 876-922-41125, and the text and WhatsApp number 876-881-5254. How is it that an executor can witness a will, but the beneficiary cannot? The rule that a beneficiary cannot witness a will, or the beneficiary spouse for that matter. So a beneficiary cannot witness a will, a beneficiary spouse cannot witness a will. A will can be deemed to be null and void. The person is asking that an executor can witness a will, but a beneficiary cannot witness a will. And it speaks to a conflict of interest. The executor is not getting anything under the will. The executor is the person appointed to carry out the wishes of the testator. The beneficiary is getting something. So what the law says is that if a beneficiary witnesses a will, it really is a conflict of interest. Have you, quote unquote, influenced the testator to give you something? How do we know that you didn't force or coerce the testator to sign the will, giving something to you? So for those reasons, a beneficiary or beneficiary spouse cannot witness a will. An executor can witness a will as long as they are not a beneficiary. So if the executor is a beneficiary, of course, like I said, they cannot witness the will. If the executor is not getting anything under the will, they can witness the will. So if you are in doubt and doing your will on your own, because I mean, sometimes it can get confusing for professionals, let alone lay persons. If you're doing your will on your own and you're not sure who can witness your will, what I say to persons is get two persons who contemplating making a claim for a 50% share of the property, the best advice I can give you is to do it as soon as possible. And a lot of persons find it hard to believe that, hey, this was my matrimonial home for so many years. Yes, the person, my ex-spouse or my spouse, yes, they are now deceased, but I have all the evidence to show that it was indeed my matrimonial home. How is it that when he was alive yesterday, I could have made the claim, but now that he has died, I can't make the claim? I understand that. I think it needs maybe further investigation, but be that as it may, that is what the law is saying now. So if you have any claims to make, if you're contemplating them, please do it as soon as possible. Also, for spouses thinking about building on property owned by your spouse's family, remember, once the title has someone else's name, so let's say it has your wife's mom's name or your brother or your wife's brother's name. Once the title has a third party's name, that means that it cannot qualify as matrimonial home. So let's say you live on land, title is in your mother-in-law's name and your husband's name. You build on it, you live in there for all these years. Something happens, you decide, you know what, it's been my matrimonial home, I'm going to fight for my 50% share. Just the mere fact that your mother-in-law's name is on the title disqualifies it from being the matrimonial home. So be very careful where you spend your money. As I always tell persons, don't build on land unless your name is on the title. If you're not sure about the family dynamics, if you're not sure what may happen in the future, in all honesty, I think it may be best for some spouses to just go and rent property. If you don't want to commit to owning with your spouse, you don't want to commit to owning with their family, you don't want to spend your money, put the property in your name, only for them to maybe be able to make a claim for it in the future. If there's any doubt, go and rent property. You could consider the options of doing a prenuptial or a postnuptial agreement, but many persons are hesitant about that. Again, remember to call in live on air 876-922-411-325. The text and WhatsApp number 876-881-5254. Remember, you may also send us an email, gloria@landsolutionsja.com, or message to Facebook, facebook.com/landsolutions. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:45.
Join us weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m. for Power Play, Power 106 FM's flagship program dedicated to the world of sports.
Family Women, welcome to another edition of Power Play. My name is Cliff Williams.
Power Play with Cliff Williams, focusing on everything sports in Jamaica and around the world. Make sure to tune in to Power Play, providing invigorating sports analysis and discussion, weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m. on Power 106 FM and the Power 106 FM app.
You're listening to Land Solutions during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Land Solutions, the program where all your land related matters are dealt with. Anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land, you've come to the right place. Here are the numbers to call: 876-922-4113-5, 876-922-4113-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions. That's 876-387-3183. 876-387-3183. The law firm Brown, Findlay and Company is headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. And the general numbers to call the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company, 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. It's landsolutionsja.com. In the case of Facebook, it's facebook.com/landsolutionsja. And we are going to hand you over once again to your host on this week's edition of Land Solutions, attorney at law, Calicia Findlay.
Thank you, Dervan. Welcome back, listeners. And just a reminder, today's WhatsApp and text number is 876-881-5254. Again, that's 876-881-5254. Someone more has two questions. Can the executor be a beneficiary on my will? And two, do I have to leave something in my will for my relatives? I dealt with the first question at the top of the program, but let me just go over this again. Can the executor be a beneficiary on my will? Yes, your executor can be a beneficiary. So let us say you're leaving your house to your adult child. In that case, that child would be your beneficiary, and they can also be an executor. It's good to have at least two executors. But remember, where your executor is also a beneficiary, then of course they cannot be a witness, because a beneficiary should not witness a will. But yes, your executor can be a beneficiary. And as we always say, when you have adult children, when your beneficiaries are adults and you're responsible, it's best to make them your beneficiary. And I'll get back to the second question shortly. I think we may have a call. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, how may I help?
Yes, Miss Findlay. I would like to come to one of your clinics, legal clinics, and we shall have a day there, Saturday. Is it better
Yes,
that
I'm going to ask you to hold, and I'll have the producer take your number, then I'll call you after, and then we can schedule.
Okay.
All right, thanks for calling. Again, our numbers to call in live on air, 876-922-41125, and the text and WhatsApp number, 876-881-5254. If you'd like to call us in office, those numbers are 876-908-1950, 876-908-3518. That's law offices of Brown, Findlay and Company. Back to that second question. Do I have to leave something in my will for my relatives? The answer, the general or the technical answer is no. You are never compelled or you're never obligated to leave something for a spouse, a child, a relative. However, and you know this is law, there are rules and there are exceptions to the rules. There are instances where someone can challenge your will. So let us say you have an adult child. It doesn't even have to be an adult child. Let's say you have a child who you've been supporting, or you have a child with a disability. And for whatever reason, you did not make provision for them in your will. That's an example of a situation where the will can be challenged. So, and we all know the common scenario, someone may not have the best marriage, so they deliberately omit their spouse from their will. And people always grapple with that. Well, I don't want him or her to challenge the will. And in many instances, you'll see where someone left or leaves $1 for their wife or husband. So what I'll say to persons is, generally, no, you're not compelled to will property to a particular relative. But on the chance that they may challenge the will, and I think I did one just about 2 weeks ago, on the chance that they may challenge a will, state, and it's uncomfortable, but it works. State specifically in your will why you are not leaving something for that person. So you can say, I have deliberately omitted, or I have decided not to leave anything for my son, John, because while I was alive, he treated me horribly, or he was a spendthrift, he was abusive. You can state a specific reason, and in so doing, that may help to defend any challenges that someone may bring. So generally, no, you don't have to leave something for a relative. And as I tell persons all the time, if you want to leave your entire property to your cat, to a stranger, excuse me, to a charity, to your church, it is entirely up to you. Do your will, take that away from this. Do your will. Don't let anyone force you on what to do or how to leave your property. Let me jump over to Facebook. What is the executor's year? In some countries, there is a rule that within a year of someone dying, an executor should start working on the estate, meaning they should begin the process of probating, gathering the assets, finalizing. So I think that is not the rule here. Find that a lot of persons believe that either the executor should do everything of the person dying, or some persons actually believe that the executor must wait 1 whole year after the person has died before they start anything. Neither of those is correct with respect to Jamaica. Once someone is died, after, out of respect, they have been buried, the executor can start right away. I've had executors come in a week, 2 weeks after the person has died, and they're ready to start. On the other hand, we've had executors come in years and years after. So there is no rule as to when you must begin the process. Of course, it goes without saying that the sooner you start, the better for all involved. The process itself can take a while. The probate process, 6 months to a year. So the sooner you get started, I say, the better. Everything is getting more expensive. Legal fees, excuse me, if you wait too long to pay the estate duties, you have to pay interest. So get started as soon as possible. I have a question in relation to purchasing property. I live overseas, and my cousin who deals with my business in Jamaica says that I should just put the land in his name since it's easier because he's here. What do you think? I think you already know the answer to this question. If it is supposed to be your property, if it is your money that you are spending, then why are you putting it in someone else's name? Once property is in someone else's name, legally it belongs to them. And it really matters. Listen, this is 2024. It doesn't matter where in the world you are. Documents can be emailed. Documents can be sent by courier. So the fact that you are overseas is inconsequential. I don't want to say your cousin is trying to pull a fast one, but I will say be wise. Ensure you retain an attorney. The attorney can send the documents to you for you to sign. You don't even have to travel to Jamaica. You don't have to do a power of attorney. Once you're able-bodied, you can sign the documents. What I will, however, say, and I use this as a caution to persons living overseas. I know sometimes it's difficult. Airfare is expensive for many persons. So it's not easy to hop on a plane to come to Jamaica to look on property. So many persons rely on what they see online or virtually. I will say, as much as possible, if you can, it's always best to come and look on the property yourself. You know, land, house is probably the biggest investment many of us will ever make. So where possible, have a look at it yourself. Come and touch and see and feel for yourself. Again, I know that may not be possible for some people, but please ensure you have someone you trust, a relative, a friend, your real estate agent, let them send you pictures. You can do virtual tours, you can do video calls. Ensure you do your valuation report, your surveyor's ID report, so you have a good appreciation for what you're buying. It has happened so many times where persons were overseas, relied on someone here. At the end of the day, they realized the property was in someone else's name, or what they bought is a swamp or a gully. You know, it may sound hilarious, but it has happened. So please do your due diligence. And if you can come and look on the property yourself, please do so. Let me see if I can get in a quick question before the break. How so I think this, let me if for this person who just sent their message on Facebook, just resend this message again, please. It's not coming in clearly. Can I challenge the person my father has chosen as the executor? The will has not yet been signed. It's not up to you. Your father can choose whoever they want as the executor. If you have concerns, of course you can raise them. You know, this is someone you love, and I'm assuming you need the best for your father. If you have concerns, raise it to your father. But at the end of the day, it's your father who makes that decision. And I'm not sure if your father has an attorney, but you can also suggest, say, hey, Daddy, I think you should go to a lawyer and have a discussion with them before you sign your will. And in fact, when persons do that, you know, quite often persons will come in with their relatives to discuss their wills. And I will ask the relatives to step out because we don't know if they're being unduly influenced. And I want to have a private discussion with that person when I'm advising them. So you can suggest that to your father. But again, at the end of the day, it is entirely up to your father to choose who they want as their executor. Again, our numbers to call in live on air, 876-922-41135. And the text and WhatsApp number, 876-881-5254. This is Land Solution.
Contractors, developers, and small builders. Contact Coast to Coast Group of Companies for high-quality concrete products. The time by Coast to Coast Group of Companies is
3 o'clock.
Work is a real good hit. Protein jacket, any way you do it. It have enough more protein than you think. Enough vitamins for good for your system. Work is a real good hit. Protein jacket, any way you do it. So delicious, nutritious, it's full of B12 and B6. The meat is sweet. Pork is a real good meat. Jamaican pork, always a healthy choice. To taste your protein choice. A message from the Jamaica Pig Farmers Association. If you not want to pop down and get, if it was my sleep to run again, so no make water settle in wooden container. For them to read up under the container. Wash them out, turn them away. Tap them with the zapper and dump them with spray. Use mosquito net and mosquito screen. Protect your house, wanna make them come in. If you know what pop down and think, if you want mosquito and run with them.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Ready, set, go! Saturday, April 27 will be the 28th staging of the annual Jake's Off-Road Triathlon. Join Power 106 FM for the Jamaican Diaspora Live Online for the Jake's Off-Road Triathlon in Treasure Beach, St. Elizabeth from 6 to 9 a.m. Come for the fun, the carbs, and the cheers. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Tourist Board, Jake's Hotel and Villas, Wata, Nature Valley, Powerade, Quartz Unicama, Jamaica Standard Products, Couples Resorts, Beyond the Sunset Resort, Lashings Boutique Hotel, Glass Falls, Island Car Rental, True Shape, Treasure Beach Women's Group, and Easy Foundation in partnership with Target Advertising, reaching your target market. That's a broadcast of the Jamaican Diaspora Live Online from the Jake's Off-Road Triathlon, Saturday, April 27, live from Treasure Beach in St. Elizabeth from 6 to 9 a.m. right here on Power 106 FM.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with, and it's happening here during both sides of the story on Power 106 FM. We're taking your calls on 876-922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions today, and that number is 876-881-5254. 876-881-5254. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/landsolutionsja, facebook.com/landsolutionsja. The email address is gloria@landsolutionsja.com. gloria@landsolutionsja.com. Let's see the other options. You can also check them out on let's go over to we did say Facebook, didn't we? On Facebook, so I think we have covered the other platforms, and we look forward now to your calls and your messages. Once again, the text line 876-881-5254. 876-881-5254. The email address gloria@landsolutionsja.com. gloria@landsolutionsja.com. And the numbers to call the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company, 876-908-1950, 876-908-1950. And there is one other number that we have to tell you about, and that is 876-908-3518, 876-908-3518. Let's send you back to your host on this afternoon's edition of Land Solutions, Attorney at Law, Calicia Findlay.
Thank you, Dervan. Welcome back, listeners. Continuing with our messages. This is a two-part question. If property is valued as $8 million and you buy it, for example, for $9 million, should the seller pay you back? Let me go again. Let me make sure I'm getting this correctly. If property is valued at $8 million and you buy it for $9 million, should the seller pay you back? I see what you're thinking, I think, but no. No. So you're essentially saying that if you buy property for more than it's valued, should the seller give you back something out of that? No, I'm sorry. You bought it for whatever you decided to buy it for, whether it was less or more than the market value. The second part of your question, if property, again, for example, is valued at $10 million, what is the most I can sell it for? You can sell it for anything. So it's valued for $10 million. You can sell it for 10 cents, or you can sell it for $110 million. Anything you want. What matters. What's important is the buyer you find and how much they're willing to pay for it. So if your property is valued at 10 million and you have someone who's willing to buy it for 12 million or more than the market value, then great. Go ahead and get it sold. But there really is no limit. You know, the government, the law doesn't care how much more you sell your property for. So you can sell it for anything. What I will say, however, is if you are, let's say you're selling property for 10 million, once all the parties have signed and it's sent to the stamp office for assessment, if the stamp office thinks it's worth more than what you're selling it for, if they think it's worth more than 10 million, let's say they think it's worth 11 million, then they're going to assess the transfer tax based on $11 million instead of $10 million. So it's not that you have to sell, or if you're the buyer, it's not that you're now buying it for $11 million. You're still buying it for $10 million, but you're going to pay transfer tax as if the value was $11 million. So that's a $1 million difference. So you're going to be paying transfer tax on 2% of the $1 million. So you can sell it for anything, but the government may charge you an additional transfer tax if they think you're selling it for less than the market value. My cousin has been waiting for years to have her mother's estate probated. Can you give us some advice, please? Do you know the reason for the delay? And it's a serious question because probate applications for letters of administration in courts nowadays, once all the information has been supplied to the courts, the grants are being issued relatively quickly, sometimes under 6 months. So usually when we see an application taking years, as you say, it means that something is amiss. Either the court wants more information, maybe the application itself wasn't put together properly. So check with your lawyer or check with the court itself to see what's happening. Is something outstanding? Have they issued a requisition? Has that requisition been complied with? A requisition is where the court will send you a list or a little note saying, file this, do over this, correct this, supply us with this. So see if a requisition has been issued. If you get a chance to do that, please send me a follow-up message because I would love to know. Because, like I said, generally speaking, now estate applications in the court go through relatively quickly. Is it true that a lawyer can keep your documents if you don't pay them? I think my lawyer did a poor job and lost my case because he was not prepared. I'm sorry that happened. Yes, there is a rule that says, it's what we call a lien technically. If these payments are outstanding to a lawyer, they can hold on to your documents until you pay them. I see what you're saying, where you say that you think your lawyer did a poor job and lost your case because he wasn't prepared. I can't speak to whether your lawyer did a good job or not, but what I will say is that if you think your lawyer didn't do a good job, you have recourse. Also, I will say too, a lot of times you see, and I'm not saying this is the case with you, but I've seen where with some persons, once the outcome of a case is not in their favor, they automatically think that the lawyer didn't do a good job or the judge wasn't fair or whatever reason, the case was somehow compromised. And it's not necessarily the case. I know how it is where you believe in your position and you think, I am right, I was wronged, the court must rule in my favor, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. It doesn't necessarily mean that there was anything wrong with the process or the professionals of the case. And I'm sorry to hear this, but see what you can do. If you can go in and try to have a conversation with your lawyer, or your former lawyer, I should say, and hopefully you can get your documents back. How long does a divorce take in Jamaica? And what do I have to show to get a divorce? A divorce takes about a year. When you say what you have to show, I suspect you're asking what are the reasons you can use in court to get a divorce in Jamaica. In Jamaica, we have what's called no-fault divorce, which basically, I don't like to say technically means because there are exceptions, but technically, a no-fault divorce means that you can get divorced without a cause. So technically, we have what's called no-fault divorces. However, when we are preparing the petitions, that's the application to get divorced, we have to give a little paragraph, maybe 3, 4, 5 lines, stating the circumstances that led to the breakdown of the marriage. So it's a little contradictory, but it is what it is. So yes, we say that we have no fault divorce, but we kind of have to say a little thing as to why the marriage broke down. So it can be for whatever reason. You can say one party wasn't faithful, communication broke down, the parties fell out of love. It can be something as simple as that. You don't have to get into the gory details. You don't have to give 3, 4, 5 page explanation. A couple lines is sufficient for the purposes of the court. You also have to show that you have been separated from your husband or wife for at least a year. And that separation does not have to be physical. You can be separated, quote unquote separated, and still be living under the same roof. So separation for the purposes of divorce can be an emotional or mental separation. So technically, those are what you have to show or prove in order to get a divorce in Jamaica, and it takes about a year to be divorced. If you have property, if there's disputes surrounding the property, the children, custody, maintenance, the process may take a little longer. But if it's what we call an uncontested divorce, it can be done in a little less than a year again. The text and WhatsApp number for today, 876-881-5254. This is Land Solutions.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:15.
Join us weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m. for Power Play, Power 106 FM's flagship program dedicated to the world of sports.
Well, we want to welcome to another edition of Power Play. My name is Cliff Williams.
Power Play with Cliff Williams, focusing on everything sports in Jamaica and around the world. Make sure to tune in to Power Play, providing invigorating sports analysis and discussion, weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m. on Power 106 FM and the Power 106 FM app.
It's the final segment of today's edition of Land Solutions, the program where all your land-related matters are dealt with, anything at all to do with the sale or purchase of land. You've come to the right place. The numbers to call, 876-922-4113-5, 876-922-4113-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions today, 876-881-5254, 876-881-5254. 5254. If you wish to get in touch with the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company, they're headquartered in Suite 39 of the Winchester Business Center, corner of Winchester Road and Hope Road in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. They also have an office at Shop 6 upstairs, the Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, St. Anne. And they are asking clients and potential clients to not just turn up at their offices for the sake of so doing, but to pay attention to the numbers that you should call: 876-908-1950 or 876-908-3518. General numbers to call the law firm Brown, Findlay and Company. And on Facebook, it's facebook.com/landssolutionsja, landssolutionsja. And let's hand you over once again to your host on this afternoon's edition of Land Solutions, attorney at law, Calicia Findlay.
Thank you, Dervan.
We have a call for you, Calicia. A call for you.
We have a call, Dervan?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Gloria.
Afternoon. Hi, no, this is Calicia Findlay. How may I help?
Okay, two quick questions. Question one, is it normal for the testator to know the witnesses?
I would say more often than not, the testator knows the witnesses, but it's not a rule that the testator needs to know the witnesses. The witnesses can be anybody over 18 as long as they're not beneficiaries. So if the witnesses end up being perfect strangers, doesn't matter, the will is still valid.
Even if it's a beneficiary that is also an executor that gets the witness?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the witness would not be getting anything. The witness is not a beneficiary. So let us say somebody is leaving something to me. I'm also their executor. And I have a friend with me the same day. I say, hey, come and witness this will. It's legal as long as you have two witnesses.
Okay. The other question is this. What is it normal for the place where the will is done to be the address to be on the will, like the resident person or the place where the will was executed? You could have two different address, right?
Yes. So it doesn't matter. When we are witnessing a will in our office, we will put the address. So let us say I've drafted a will for a client, they've signed it, I'll sign it with my paralegal, and we put our occupation and we put our address. But the address does not have to be there at all. So you can literally just have the signature for the two witnesses and that is sufficient.
So the address where the testator lives doesn't have to be on the will?
It doesn't have to be there. I mean, for completion, we, as attorneys, we try to be as thorough as possible. So we put the address there. But if a man does his will on his own and he just says, I, John Brown, give my property so and so, and he doesn't state his address, the will is still legal and valid.
Even if it's done by an attorney, it's still legal.
Yep. Even if it's done by an attorney, yes.
What if there's question about?
What if what? What if there's question about what?
Question about signature.
Where there are questions about the signature, about the witnesses, the court will ask for what we call an affidavit from the witness, stating that yes, they were there when the will was signed, and they saw the testator sign in their presence and the presence of the other witness.
In a case where the testator's will looks different from what normal is.
Looks different from what?
Normal signature of the testator.
If there are questions surrounding the signature,
Yeah.
The court will ask for further evidence. So they will ask for maybe an affidavit of handwriting. They will ask for affidavits from persons who knew the testator. And it happens, because persons' signature change over time. You know, how I signed 10 years ago may not be how I sign now, and especially for elderly persons, their signatures are quite different. So it happens all the time.
Yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I have another question.
Sure, go right ahead.
But if the date on which the will is claimed to have been written, it was impossible for it to be written on that date, based on the fact that the person was probably um, indisposed, like they were very ill or in the hospital or something like that, on that date.
Mm-hmm. Well, if that is the case, then someone would need to challenge the will on the basis of it being a fraudulent will, because based on what you're saying, if you're saying the will could not have been signed on that particular date, you're essentially saying that it's a fraudulent will. Okay. So a relative or a would-be beneficiary would then have to file a claim challenging the will.
Okay, look there. What do you approach the court or the probate to send a claim? What do you approach that?
All right, so let us say you find out that someone has made an application for that will to be probated. The first thing you would do is file what we call a caution. It's similar to a caveat when it comes to land matters. So a caution puts a temporary stop on the probating of the will, and then you would follow that up by filing a lawsuit against the persons who have filed the application for probate. So you then have to essentially go to trial and show proof as to why you say this will is fraudulent.
Caution form is available where? And where do you get the caution form?
The caution form is available in the civil procedure rules. Those are available online. But of course, it's best to go in and have a consultation with an attorney. But like I said, you can check out the caution on the online. Just search for the Jamaica Civil Procedure Rules.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, but please don't rely on the caution because it expires after a certain time. So follow it up with a lawsuit if you don't know what has been filed.
How long does it stay in existence, the caution?
I think it's between 14 or 30 days. I'm getting old. I'll have to double check, but it does have a time limit. So but you'll see that online.
Jamaica Civil Procedure Rules.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
civil procedure rules. All right. Then our numbers to call in live on air 876-922-411-325 and the text and WhatsApp line 876-881-5254. I sold land that I owned with my ex-husband a couple years ago.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm. The segment is Land Solutions during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. The program where all your land-related matters are dealt with, Land Solutions. This is the program, this is the time. We're getting close to wrapping the feature now, though. We're 5 minutes away from the end. So if you have further questions, now would be a good time to get in on this opportunity as far as Land Solutions, the program is concerned. So we encourage you, take full advantage. Just about 5 minutes left in the hour, and it's an opportunity. If something slipped you or you didn't remember to ask a question that you so wanted to ask, use the opportunity now and continue to take note of the information that is disseminated from Land Solutions. So the numbers to call, 876 922-4113-5. 876-922-4113-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number for Land Solutions, 876-881-5254. 876-881-5254. And we have some other interviews, a couple of other interviews lined up as well on this afternoon's edition of Both Sides of the Story. It's a very special day, World Earth Day, and we have a couple of interviews on that subject. And we also are going to be previewing a major reasoning session, the Mona Law and the HMLS and HWLS class of 97, presenting a distinguished lecture in the Mona Law series and reasoning session. And there is also the observance of a 25th anniversary program of alumni and alumni reunion. They called and committed alumni reunion, Hugh Wooding and Norman Manley Law Schools. And the reasoning session, Judicial Policy Construction by Apex Courts, exploring. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for holding.
Hi, Dervan. It's Calicia. I'm sorry, I think we had some technical difficulties. Are you hearing me clearly now?
Yes, we are.
Let me just go back over what I was saying. I'm not even sure where you lost me. But I was answering a question where someone said that they were over this sold property that they owed to their ex-husband, and they found out that the lawyer paid everything directly to the ex-husband in Jamaica. Now that this person, because I asked the lawyer has told her to go to the ex-husband. So I was saying, if she did not sign anything stating that the lawyer could have or should have paid everything to the husband, then the lawyer may be in some trouble. So the lawyer really ought to have paid a half to the ex-husband and a half to the ex-wife. So this person may need to file suit against the lawyer. She could technically file suit against the ex-husband too, because he also has known that I'm receiving 100% of the proceeds instead of 60%. But really the fault lies with the attorney. Where two persons are on title, once the sale is finished, the lawyer should have paid out to two, unless she had something in writing stating that only one person should have received the sale proceeds. Thanks again to everyone for tuning in to today's edition of Land Solutions. I've been your host for today, Calicia Finley. Apologies again for the little glitch we had earlier. But thanks as always to Dervan, Adrian, and the entire team of Power 106. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.
Help us protect Jamaica's borders. Tell us about any illegal guns coming through customs controlled areas. Call Crime Stop at 311. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is 3:30.
Power 106 FM, the digital sound, and now reaching you in more ways. Listen to us on 106.1 to 106.9 on the FM band. You can also listen to us on the Power 106 FM app, which you can download on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can tune in on your mobile phones by dialing 631-359-8281 if you're in the US. And if you're in the UK, you can dial 0330-606-0953. Plus, listen to us on onespotmedia.com and the One Spot Media app, or log on to go-jamaica.com. Power 106 FM, where all views can contend, giving you powerful talk radio in so many ways, on air and online.
What about sunrise? What about rain? What about all the things that you said?
Thank you so much for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. And we're about to learn more about an event that's coming up on Wednesday, the 24th of April, at the Law Lecture Theatre 2, Faculty of Law at the University of the West Indies, Mona, starting at 12:15 in the afternoon. And we're anxious to learn more about this distinguished lecture in the Mona Law series and reasoning session. And the man who is going to deliver that for us is the Deputy Dean, Faculty of Law, Mona, Reasoning Moderator, Dr. Christopher Malcolm, CIP. Good afternoon, Dr. Malcolm. How are you?
Good afternoon, Dervan, and very well, thanks. Good afternoon to your listeners and viewers wherever they are in the world as well.
Thank you very much on their behalf. Can you give us the background, please, on the distinguished lecture in the Mona Law series?
The background really goes back to about, well, a little before, but an event that we had in October of last year. The short is that I am part of the class of 97 of the Hugh Wooding and Norman Mandela. And we decided at that juncture, which was our 25th year in practice, that we wanted to, in addition to meeting and greeting and doing all the other things that alumni normally do, we wanted to do something which had a lot of public impact as well. So at the time, we put on an event here at Mona as well, in collaboration with the Faculty of Law, where we examined the question of Jamaica at the crossroads and how we should move in relation to our final court. The short question was CCJ or continuation with the Judicial Committee of the Council. Coming out of that, and we had a lot of public attention coming out of it, one of the things we decided then was that we wanted to hear a little further and to continue the dialogue. And as it turned out, Lord Reed from the Privy Council had in fact responded to a Jamaica Gleaner editorial that had dealt with some of the issues that we had looked at. And so we determined then that we wished to hear from him. He, and understandably so, did not want to delve too much into that. So at the time we reached out to him, we agreed with him from last year that we would do an event looking at some of the policy construction, which is how judges decide, why they decide the way they do. And particularly apex or final courts, as we call them. And he agreed to doing that, but the timing was not available for him until this now, when we're going to be doing it, which is on Wednesday. So that was the genesis of that event. Now, the event having been agreed, as I said, we determined the basic essence of what we wanted to do. And he, as was to have been expected, we couldn't have expected much more, decided that what he would prefer to do was to deliver a lecture, and at the end of which we determined that we wanted to do a reasoning session, which we always do, for the greater benefit of public participation and everything else. So he is delivering a lecture in the general theme, and we're then looking at a moderated panel, which will now examine some of the same issues in the context of what are the things that affect the judge when he decides, or when a panel of judges decide. What are the non-black letter law issues? The law says the cat is red, and you want to know when a court is to decide a question related to that. What are the socioeconomic and other factors that they consider, and how do these factors generally affect them? And when they're deciding, what is their ultimate obligation to the society in relation to which they are deciding? Should they do so by reference to things which are purely parochial, meaning internal to the society, or should they be affected by things which are external, and if so, to what extent? And those are some of the things we're hoping to explore. They are significant and they may sound high level law, but in fact they are not.
It's amazing. You should say that high level law, because those words were about to come out of my mouth a while ago.
Yes. And I was about to say that to say. It may sound that way. But in short, we all hear about judge-made law. And persons generally want to know what the court, we think the law said X, but the court decided Y. Why did they do it? So persons generally have that, and I give you a good example of what is happening. When we had the Vibes cartel matter, for example, which a lot of people are aware of what happened there, we had two judgments prior in our Supreme Court and in our Court of Appeal that went in a particular direction on the question of relating to the juror in particular. When it went to the Privy Council, they decided quite differently. The question is, what caused the Privy Council to decide in one way and the law courts to decide in another way? And the members of the public are genuinely interested to understand, is it that one court is so much worse than the other or the other so much better? And the short answer is no. The short answer is that we, all of us, judges included, we take our subjective selves to the jobs that we do and the influences that are around us and our own understanding of what words mean. And you, being a wordsmith, I know you are. You know, we understand that law, you know, is a very simple discipline basis. It is really about linguistic analysis. Mm-hmm. How do you look at words in context and give meaning to them? Yes. And so the meaning persons will give to words in a context will be determined by a myriad of factors. And we don't always understand why, but we want to get a better understanding of it so we can better understand how the law functions, because we cannot avoid the pervasive nature of the law. It affects all of us in everything that we do.
And how did you go about selecting the distinguished lecturer and the other panelists?
Well, selecting the distinguished lecturer was quite easy. As I said, he had responded to a Jamaica Gleaner rather editorial. And in addition, of course, he is the head of the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, which is the final court for Jamaica. So we wanted to hear what views he had on the issue, because ultimately it's a decision of the final court that affects us. And I say this, and I'm going to say something which a lot of people may not easily understand, but it is worth saying. We hear all the time that the law is the law that the parliament makes and that sort of thing. And I, as a lawyer, very often say to persons, what you get in a statute is a piece of paper. Follow me for 1 minute. Mm-hmm. What you then get ultimately is that piece of paper, under the Constitution, the legislature has the right to make laws. But it is the court that has the right to interpret and apply the laws. And it is the interpretation and application of the law which ultimately determines what the law is. So we want persons to understand that whatever you may see and you read in a statute or even read in the law book, ultimately your final determination is going to be made by the court. So you should be following how courts behave, why they do things the way they do, because it is their meaning, which can sometimes run contrary even to what Parliament may have intended, that will ultimately bind us.
And how will this this reasoning session and distinguished lecture be managed? I mean, what are some of the features?
Well, the features are, it is going to be, well, it's physical, meaning it's in person. It's completely free to any member of the public, and it is not for lawyers, it is for everybody. Mm-hmm. And so you simply come in and register. Well, you don't even have to register coming in, and you're able to attend and to be able to participate as well, because we have a question and answer session. The other persons, I am moderating the reasoning aspect of the program, mm-hmm. and the persons who are involved in that, we have distinguished attorneys at law, including Michael Hilton, King's Counsel, Jamaican. We have Larry Smith, who is a King's Counsel out of Barbados, and a member of my own class as well. We have Philippa Davies, who is a legal consultant and public policy advocate. We have Robert Stevens, popularly known as Bobby Stevens, who is not a lawyer, but it's taking a non-lawyer's perspective to the table. And we have one of our young students, Ayana Robinson. She's a second-year student. And we always involve the youth voices because we want to hear what our youngsters are thinking, who are also going to be involved. So we're going to be asking and having a discussion really around questions. And at the end of it, members of the listening audience can chime in. It is also being made available via YouTube to persons primarily from outside who will be joining in, and they too will have an opportunity to ask questions, which will be moderated as well.
Mm-hmm. And what will give you a sense of accomplishment at the end of this distinguished lecture and reasoning session?
Well, our sense of accomplishment, frankly, if we were to gauge from what happened in October of last year, is where you have genuine public interest being brought to the team. So our greatest sense of accomplishment will be if we hear more and more persons talking about some of the issues that we raise. If we are able to see some movement in terms of people becoming more interested in legal happenings. And also, I suppose, if we see more and more students, for example, in our schools, wanting to become lawyers, wanting to learn more about the law and to become more involved in how it operates. And also what we're hoping for as we've started this series, because we're going into the community, that's the whole objective, to take us, as we like to say, from the cathedral to the streets, right? Where we get more and more persons engaged, where we can have more meaningful discussions with everybody about the law, how it applies. Go back to our village lawyers. Go back to persons reasoning about the law, how it applies. There was a time in Jamaican history, you know, when there were many persons who, on a court day, particularly in rural parishes, would simply turn up at court just to observe the proceedings. We probably don't see as much of that anymore.
Yes.
But those were the good old days where persons would be able to tell you about who their favorite lawyers were, what their favorite arguments were as they heard them, and persons had genuine discussion. And that had nothing to do with what we would consider to be educated or not educated. It was simply people feeling that they wanted to participate, and them understanding as well that the law was important for them to have a better understanding of. And we're hoping that through this and other events that we will put on, you will have a re-energization in that regard, and persons getting more and more interested in how they can learn more about the law and contribute more as well to how the law is developed and how we argue about it.
In fact, it seems that more of us are indeed, and in fact, finding opportunities to explore, to try and understand, to read, to ask questions, etc., as they too play their part in the national discourse.
And that is correct, and that is correct. And we want to see more of it, not less. And we also want to hopefully, we can see more of these programs being filtered down, as I say, away from the university, into our high schools, into our primary schools, into all our institutions, into our church groups, into our communities, and so on. That's the hope that we have, that we can take this much broader and get much richer dialogue. And if we do it, we will see improvements in our justice system generally, in our police system, and in all the institutions that we have around. And I'm not suggesting that what we have is terrible. That's not a suggestion at all. I'm saying there's always room for growth. And the best way to have institutions grow and develop is where you have active public participation and persons requiring more of it from a place of knowledge.
One moment, please. Quick break, and then we come back and wrap. One moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:45.
Welcome to the new dimension in eye care, the Optical Zone, offering exceptionally comfortable eyewear. We fill prescriptions and do eye examinations. This complete optical store is conveniently located at Shop 14, York Plaza, Halfway Tree. Telephone 929-8656. The Optical Zone, providing vision for life.
With over 40 years of record service, Lock Safe and Vault Limited is your trusted security provider. Get affordable prices on a wide variety of seals, garage doors, access control supplies, magnetic lock, fingerprint, weatherproof keypads, card access system, time attendance, power supplies, and exit buttons. Professional services provided. Visit 40 Shortwood Road, Kingston 8. Problem solved with Lock Safe involved.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm. We've been giving you a preview of the upcoming distinguished lecture in the Mona Law series and reasoning session. And it's scheduled for Wednesday. Make a note of it, please. This Wednesday, the 24th of April. And it's, the venue is the Law Lecture Theatre 2, Faculty of Law on the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies. And the time is 12:15 p.m. And that's Jamaica time, 12:15 p.m. And we have been exploring one or two of the areas or points or which we expect to be part of the reasoning session and the distinguished lecture. And so we're happy to be able to share this information and to give you a taste or a sample of how people are thinking, how our people are thinking. So we're grateful to Dr. Christopher Malcolm, CIP, Deputy Dean, the Faculty of Law, Mona, and Reasoning Moderator. And before we wrap this segment, Dr. Malcolm, what would you like those learning about this distinguished lecture in the Mona Law series and reasoning session, what are you hoping that not just those who will be in attendance or plan to be in attendance, but those who will be listening to this live streaming and being advised of and informed on this session, what are you hoping they will come away with?
Well, one of the things I'm hoping for is that through this and other sessions that we do and other people do as well, we're hoping that persons will come to a general understanding, all of us, that you should not be intimidated by the law, that the law is designed for the benefit of all of us, and that we all have a capacity, we all have the ability to contribute to its development. That is one thing. The other thing I want us to come to an understanding of as well is that of the three arms of government, I like to say that the most important arm for the benefit of the people is the courts. Because it is the courts that function as that critical arbiter between the enormous power of the state and the relative weakness of each individual. It is the court that acts as that balancing point where you can challenge the court, the state in court, and all the other sorts of things. So again, I want persons to understand that the court, its independence, how it functions, and how we understand it, and the demands we make of it, will have a significant impact on how we live and the benefits we're able to derive from the societies that we're in. So I want persons to bear that in mind. I also want persons to come to the table as they listen, as they read, and as they participate through questions and otherwise, with a position that there's no question that is too small for you to want to get clarified. That however big something might sound to you, there's always a simple way that it can be explained, and that if you ask the right questions, you will get an answer. And the thing about the law as well, I want persons to understand, is that the law cannot allow for there not to be an answer. So there's always an answer to every question that you might have once it relates to the law. And I want us as well to go back to a situation where, as we learn, we then take it upon ourselves to teach others, so that others can come to the understanding that we have and can pass it on and we can continue to share and through that process have a better understanding. And I want also to say this. We hear persons speaking about, breakdown in values, morals, and all sorts of things happening. I dare say, in societies where people have a better understanding of the law and how it functions, people tend to have a greater appreciation for citizenship, how to be good citizens, and how governance works. And in those societies, and the statistics are clear globally, you tend to have lower levels of violence, you tend to have better societies. And I think if we get back to that and we're able to use that a little more, we will find that there are enormous benefits, including to deal with some of the discipline and related issues we're seeing in our schools. So I'm hopeful that together we can work for better, and together we can work to make the law do more for us. That is what I'm hoping to achieve most of them.
And sorry to push you a little further, but in terms of the ingredients, do we have what it takes to repair the breach?
I think we do actually, but I tell you what, we hear about conflict in our schools, and it is true that we have not taught our students well enough how to manage their conflict. And I think one of the things I've been pushing for many years, and I continue to push for it, is that we devise and implement a proper system of conflict management in our schools. I'm sure you remember when we had PAL, Peace and Love in Schools.
Yes.
And I think it was an amazing program. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it did not last as long as it should have, because it should have been continuing in my view, or some derivative of it. Mm-hmm. And I think I recall those days. I don't know if you remember that little ad that they had and all the things that went around with pals and wherever they went with the little mascot and all that.
Yes.
Yes, you remember it?
Yes, oh yes.
And I think our children at the time, youngsters, were all talking about how to do peer counseling and all the other wonderful things. I don't think we're doing enough of it now. And I believe as well that the value to our society was felt then. And I believe that while it's a long road ahead of us, if we start doing something now, we can see the benefits be derived. And we're going to see it. But I think that we need to think seriously of how do we implement programs in our schools that can excite our children, one, and that can allow them to start thinking better of themselves and how they relate to each other. And if that happens, we are going to see a reduction in the crime statistics, certainly from our children. And if we see it there, it will translate across the nation at many levels, I believe, as well. Because we can take the same examples, not just the schools, but into the broader community, through the churches and through all things. You know, there was sometime a couple of years ago, Minister Homer Davis had said that he wanted for conflict management to be taught to gang members, something along that line, not in as many words. Mm-hmm. And there were persons who took him to pieces for it. And I thought that it was really a little short-sighted to do that. And I tell you why. Because we do know that a lot of the violence that is produced is between gang members. That is what we've heard. Mm-hmm. So if we can help those persons to manage their own relations, even while not encouraging what they do, then we can have a way of reducing violence. And if we reduce it, then it becomes easier to deal with people in their own communities and hopefully to get them move around. I don't think we should see anybody as being beyond the reach of encouraging them to do better at managing their own conflicts, even in the context of a gang.
Yes.
And if we can move with that mindset, I think we may be able to see value in significant ways across this country.
That's definitely something to look forward to. And we want to thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us and preparing us for the distinguished lecture in the Mona Law series and reasoning session, which is scheduled for Wednesday, the 24th of April, Wednesday coming, at the Law Lecture Theatre 2, Faculty of Law, on the Mona campus of the UWI. It starts at 12:15 in the afternoon. And we trust that all who have heard of this reasoning session and distinguished lecture will make the effort to participate, to get involved, and to be in the numbers.
And thank you again, Dervan, for your not just assistance here, but you're continuing because I note that, knowing it to be true, that your continuing effort to educate and to support programs of this nature. It's legend, I dare say.
Yes.
And I'm happy to know that we can have a voice like yours to be supportive of initiatives which are nation building as we see them happening. And we're thankful always for your continued support and for that of your listeners and others who participate and themselves give support to initiatives of this nature. Thanks again for your time, and I trust that you'll have a wonderful rest of the program.
Thank you very much, and all the very best to you. It's always good to catch up with you. Thank you very much.
Not because we share the same last name. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Listeners, you're listening there to Dr. Christopher Malcolm, CIP, Deputy Dean, Faculty of Law, Mona, Reasoning Moderator, and giving you a preview of what is to come. It happens at 12:15 p.m. on Wednesday, the 24th of April, 2024, in the Law Lecture Theatre 2, Faculty of Law, on the Mona campus of the UWI. And admission is free. It's facilitated by Mona Law and the Norman Manley and Hugh Wooding Law Schools graduating class of 1997. And if you need more information, you can call 876-550-2680. There's also 977-4860. Don't forget 876 though. There's 927-1855. And the email address is monalawsymposium@uimona.edu.jm. monalawsymposium@uimona.edu.jm. So now you have all the information that you need. You know by now what to expect, and we trust it will have the kind of impact that we know it can based on those who are involved. So thanks very much to the participants, those who are preparing themselves for the various presentations and reasoning sessions. And we wish you all the very best for this distinguished lecture in the Mona Law series and reasoning session. It's also a 25th anniversary milestone, alumni reunion, Hugh Wooding and Norman Manley Law Schools. Big 25 there. So we congratulate them as well. And that's it for this segment of your program, Both Sides of the Story, here on Power 106 FM. After the break, we are going to be going in for a deep dive as far as Mother Earth Day, today, the 22nd of April, is concerned.
At Wellington Dental, they offer cleaning, filling, whitening, and other services for the entire family. The time by Wellington Dental is
4 o'clock.
Join us weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m. for Power Play, Power 106 FM's flagship program dedicated to the world of sports.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Power Play. My name is Cliff Williams.
Power Play with Cliff Williams, focusing on everything sports in Jamaica and around the world. Make sure to tune in to Power Play, providing invigorating sports analysis and discussion, weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m. on Power 106 FM and the Power 106 FM
commercial
app.
Break. Okay. Yes.
Power 106 FM, the digital sound, and now reaching you in more ways. Listen to us on 106.1 to 106.9 on the FM band. You can also listen to us on the Power 106 FM app, which you can download on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can tune in on your mobile phones by dialing 631-359-8281 if you're in the U.S. And if you're in the UK, you can dial 0330-606-0953. Plus, listen to us on onespotmedia.com and the One Spot Media app, or log on to go-jamaica.com. Power 106 FM, where all views can contend, giving you powerful talk radio in so many ways, on air and online.
Both sides of the story.
The following feature during Both Sides of the Story on Earth Day is brought to you by Conway Douglas and Associates and Environmental Science and Technology Limited.
Is there a time?
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm on this International Mother Earth Day, Monday, the 22nd of April, 2024. Mother Earth is clearly urging a call to action. Nature is suffering. Oceans filling with plastic and turning more acidic. Extreme heat, wildfires, and floods. All these elements have affected millions of people. Climate change, man-made changes to nature, as well as crimes that disrupt biodiversity, such as deforestation, land use change, intensified agriculture and livestock production, or the growing of illegal wildlife trade, can accelerate the speed of destruction of the planet. This is the third Mother Earth Day celebrated within the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. Ecosystems support all life on Earth. The healthier our ecosystems are, the healthier the planet and its people. Restoring our damaged ecosystems will help to end poverty, combat climate change, and prevent mass extinction. But we will only succeed if everyone plays a part. For this International Mother Earth Day, let's remind ourselves more than ever that we need a shift to a more sustainable economy that works for both people and the planet. Let's promote harmony with nature and the earth. Join the global movement to restore our world. And we want to use the opportunity now to bring into the mix Senator the Honorable Matthew Samuda, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, with responsibility for water, environment, climate change, and the blue and green economies. And we are going to head straight to Senator the Honorable Matthew Samuda for his perspective on this very, very special day, International Mother Earth Day. Senator Samuda, good afternoon to you. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon, Dervan. Good afternoon to your listeners. I'm stepped out of our usual Monday cabinet meeting.
Oh,
Happy to
yes.
join you based on the circumstance. I would say after you're so lucky, you should probably send me a copy of it. There is not much else that needs to be said. I think you've articulated it very well.
Yeah, well, I wish I could take credit for the wording, but yes, it really was quite compelling.
But if you'll allow me, I'll just scope the issue.
Sure.
And how we're celebrating this day, or acknowledging this day, rather, and using it to bring about awareness for the particular issues we face.
Yes.
The United Nations Environmental Program lists our issue as a triple planetary crisis. It's an issue that is sees climate change, is experiencing biodiversity loss, and we're experiencing high levels of pollution, particularly plastics pollution.
Mm-hmm.
These issues, though they're globally found, are obviously represented within the Jamaican local environment. And today is as good a day as any, as to acknowledge the problems as they are, acknowledge that there is severe risk to not treating with these issues, and recommit to dealing with those. There is a particular focus on this Earth Day to target plastics. The international community would have acknowledged, I believe 2 years ago, at the United Nations Environmental Assembly in Kenya, that there needed to be an internationally binding treaty that would target plastics. All the elements of how plastics are used, produced, and how the waste is indeed managed. That is indeed something that is underway. Jamaica is actively participating in this process. In fact, we have a delegation led by our chief technical director, who has gone after another one of the negotiations on how this treaty will look and how this treaty will actually function. We expect this treaty to take on issues such as recycling, access to virgin plastics for manufacturers, issues of microplastics, issues of packaging different types of plastics, looking at the resilience and structure of our waste management systems, but all with a target to bring down plastic waste in the natural environment significantly.
Mm-hmm. And is it fair to say the decision or decisions are universally accepted or known or are taking shape?
We're at that phase in treaty development, which one day it looks like it's going to one extreme, the other day it looks like it goes to another extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the plastic producing nations, those who make the plastic pellets, that make plastic bottles, that make the forms, that then go into the manufacturing process, are paying keen attention. Because the plastics issue is not a simple one.
Mm-hmm.
But the globe is focusing on it. But Jamaica's perspective, though we have taken some steps already.
Yes, indeed.
We're looking to take 2 additional steps this year, which will target plastic lunch boxes and indeed personal care products that use plastic beads by way of microplastics, which is like the face soaps that you deodorants. We expect to remove those from our waste stream this year by way of a further ban. But we are also working with the recycling partners of Jamaica and indeed NSWMA to start this year to separate all waste in our government facilities to ensure that we start the recycling push and to help recycling partners move from recycling approximately 30% of bottles produced monthly to the long march to 70%. What should be noted is that in 2015, 2016, it was about 8%. So we have made some improvements, but we have a long way to go.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, a long way to go, and it's planet versus plastics.
Yes, sir.
Who is winning that race?
Right now, we're not winning the race. And ultimately, you did mention that we have to look at our consumption patterns.
That's right.
We need to ensure that our economy is developed in a circular way, so that we use items far more than once.
Yeah.
Single use, doesn't matter what the material is after. Single use is at the core of much of our environmental, economic conflict.
And one of the things we seem to like to do, unfortunately, here in Jamaica is to burn things. The least little thing, a fire is lit, and we're trying to we believe we're doing something good because we sweep up the yard or or the road or wherever it is, and we we put it in a corner somewhere and we light it, when in fact included in that 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 waste are plastic bottles and related materials, etc., which we end up inhaling.
Well, burning and how we dispose of our waste is a challenge. Ultimately, the government across the last 60 years, regardless of administration, has not invested what is required to build the capacity to collect the waste we generate. That is something this administration is taking on frontally, and we will be allocating significant sums to increase the fleet of the NSWMA. And that is one side of the issue. Collection zones and properly run landfills is absolutely important. But we will have to take on the cultural issues. One, as you mentioned, is the burning of waste, as well as those that have, quite frankly, led us to being a nasty nation. We're going to have to deal with the litter issue, and we will have to deal with the burning issue. But what I'm focused on at this stage is where the government does have the capacity to deal with, which is to build the fiscal space, to at least build the infrastructural need to resolve our waste management crisis.
Yes. Well, I know you're busy, but before we let you go, can you give us your perspective with respect to the well, we're going to be speaking with Ainsley Henry, conservator of forests. So we just wanted to get in the perspective as far as the forestry department is concerned, and then we give you an opportunity to respond.
No, I'm out of time.
Oh,
I can't wait on someone else.
I suspected so. So
I had to 8 minutes. I was gone 12.
okay, all right. So leave it there for now then.
Yes,
Okay.
but I will make myself available another time.
All right, no problem. We understand. You have to do what you have to do.
Sure, Dervan.
All right, thanks. Take care. That's the Senator, the Honorable Matthew Samuda, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, with responsibility for water, environment, climate change, and the blue and green economies. And we're going to, after the break, well, let's see, we have just about a minute before the break. So after the break, we will bring Mr. Ainsley Henry, conservator of forests, into the discussion. He is the CEO of the forestry department, and we hope that you'll continue to listen and learn, and also quietly, if you don't mind, to quietly recommit. And each of us should do this, quietly recommit ourselves to the care and protection of our environment. And we want to thank all those who have been playing their part in this regard, and happy to play our part in ensuring that some difference is seen, heard, experienced, felt by the time the next cycle of Earth Day comes around. So let's take the break and come back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:15.
Come to Stewart's Hardware 2-day spring super sale. Friday, April 26th and Saturday, April 27th. 2 days filled with super discounts. Get all the hardware, houseware, plants, and lots more you've always wanted at super sweet prices. You simply can't afford to miss Stewart's Hardware spring super sale. That's April 26th and 27th. There'll be fantastic savings just for you. Stewart's Hardware and Home Center, building values.
On December 9, 2022, an indigent family received keys to a 2-bedroom housing unit in Moreland, Westmoreland, built under the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development's Indigent Housing Program. The beneficiaries moved into a fully furnished home, which featured a toilet, stove, washing machine, refrigerator, beds and televisions, and a wheelchair ramp.
You have truly made a difference in our life, for which we are extremely grateful. We appreciate you so much, and we're very thankful for making us new homeowners and making a difference in our future endeavors. A big thank you to everyone that made this possible.
Beneficiary Antoinette Bowers on behalf of the family. The Ministry of Local Government Board of Supervision, developing communities for the benefit of all citizens. Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited and its subsidiary Environmental Science and Technology Limited, the leading environmental management consultancy firm in Jamaica for over 36 years, join in celebrating World Earth Day 2022 under the theme Invest in Our Planet. Let us use the Earth's resources conservatively and wisely. CDA ESTEC operates by the slogans quality service at its best and science and technology for sustainable development. Call them 876-929-8824.
It's Mother Earth Day on this, the 22nd of April, 2024, and we greet you well wherever in the world you are listening to us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Mother Earth has been in trouble for a long time, and there's no time like the present. No time like the present for us to make a difference. For this International Mother Earth Day, let's remind ourselves more than ever that we need a shift to a more sustainable economy that works for both people and the planet. Let's promote harmony with nature and the earth. And as we said earlier on, join the global movement to restore our world. The planet is losing 10 million hectares of forests every year, an area larger than Iceland. A healthy ecosystem helps to protect us from these diseases. Biological diversity makes it difficult for pathogens to spread rapidly. It is estimated that around 1 million animals and plant species are now threatened with extinction. We need some advice from our Conservator of Forests, CEO of the Forestry Department, Mr. Ainsley Henry. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us on this International Mother Earth Day. How are you?
Good afternoon, Dervan. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. Good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. What are some of the elements you have been noticing, some of the occurrences, the happenings, the impact that is unraveling or unfolding as far as climate change and related matters are concerned?
Well, Dervan, I think everybody in Jamaica recognizes that we've had a couple of years of unprecedented warming.
Yes.
Every year for the last couple of years, we've seen where the highest temperatures are being breached. And this year feels like it's going to be no different. I mean, it's only April and it already feels like the middle of summer.
Mm-hmm.
And to make matters worse, the amount of rainfall that we've been getting as a consequence has also been impacted. And if you're in the business of planting trees, well, that's a serious problem.
Tell us.
Well, with the shorter rainy season, it means that the planting season that we have is truncated. And with water restrictions in places, it means that even in urban settings where we're trying to encourage urban tree planting, communities and households are finding it more and more difficult to use the water to do things like irrigate those seedlings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a complex problem, and it's a problem which is growing in intensity it feels like. And that, as you said in the introduction, is something that it will take each and every one of us to come back and find true and lasting solutions.
Yes. And how is it looking? How bad is it?
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that we've been aware that the impact of humanity on the planet has been quite significant for some time. And despite that knowledge, we have not reacted as quickly as we should have. The Caribbean and small island developing states had been rallying the world for quite some time under the theme 1.5 to stay alive. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah. And after many years, we finally got the world to try to say that they were going to try and work towards it. But based on what we're seeing now, 1.5 is almost assuredly going to be breached. And what that means is that for people like us, people that live at the forefront of climate change, we will be seeing more and greater impacts over the next couple of years. But that's why, despite how sad or how bleak that sounds, that's why we have to redouble our own efforts and lead the world, show the world how it is that we can make a change. You might remember the Prime Minister had announced a 3 million trees national tree planting initiative.
Yes.
And we've been actively working towards delivering on that. We're currently at some 2.85 million.
Are you serious? Goodness.
Wow. We're honestly, if it wasn't for things like COVID and the amount of dry spells that we've had over the last few years, would have hit it already. But it's been challenging. But we always try to rise to the challenge.
Yes. And what more is needed apart from what you've shared with us already? What more should be done or could be done or will be done or is being done at this stage?
So certainly from a Jamaica standpoint and in terms of building our own resilience, there are many things that we have been moving towards. There's a great mangrove cleanup that's scheduled for this weekend. And that has become necessary because of the improper way in which we've been disposing of solid waste for many years. The government has been improving solid waste management through the introduction of additional fleet trucks into the fleet to try and ensure that garbage collection is more regular. We've been moving towards rainwater harvesting in some places, solar and alternative energy generation and things of that nature. From a forestry perspective, we've been seeking to encourage all Jamaicans to increase the amount of urban trees in particular. And our focus on urban trees stems from the fact that a lot of the impacts that we will feel in the context of urban heat islands and all the rest of it, and pollution, all of that can be mitigated by increasing the amount of tree cover that we have in urban spaces. But while we're doing that, Forestry Department has been actively working to improve forest cover in the watershed areas. And we're happy to report that our most recent survey says that the forest cover has increased from the 40% that was recorded in 2013 to somewhere in the region of 46 to 47% as of last year.
How significant is that?
Well, that's a significant increase because, that's almost 7% that it's gone up by. And that is very important and very critical in the context of fighting the climate change battle, but it's also important in terms of fighting the battle to ensure that biodiversity is protected, that water sources are protected, that our people have a sustainable future.
Yes. And we know that the Forestry Department for years has been deeply involved in the work that is necessary for the growth and development of our forests or trees, and that you have your office is at next door to the tax office.
173.
Yes, and I haven't been there in a long time. Because I know you normally have the the plants and related matter that you have. uh, you give away a lot, but you also, I think, there's a purchasing position.
Yes, sir.
Mm.
As you know, in executive agents, it's one of the things that we're striving to do is to improve the offerings that we have so that we're able to earn a little money.
Mm.
But as we do that, we're also very much active in giving trees and seedlings for people to plant, both in urban and rural areas.
Yes.
Right now in Portmore, we've got a partnership with the Portmore municipality. Well, actually not right now. It was between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. And that partnership was to distribute seedlings to people who live and work in Portmore and its surroundings so that they can contribute to increasing tree cover within their space. Mm-hmm. At the same time, today we also had a presentation to students that excelled high on the negative impacts plastics have on our forests. And there too we had seedling distribution. Likewise, at Edna Manley College, we also had presentations and seedling distribution.
Well, you've been busy.
Yes, indeed.
Mm.
And that's only the start of some of the things that we've been doing, because as I said, we'll be participating in the Great Mangrove Cleanup this coming Saturday morning, and we encourage everyone to come out and participate. We've also been very active in social media today to ensure that everybody is aware that today is Mother Earth's birthday, and to try and tell them some of the things that they can do to help to give her a happy birthday, Mm-hmm. And we also have the advertisements in today's Observer. We've been distributing seedlings at Bad Eye Pop-Up Birthday Initiative at Ragamuffin Cafe. Mm-hmm. And last week we participated in the Alligator Head Foundation Open Day, where we also distributed trees and provided seedlings.
So is it just some of us who routinely and religiously support these initiatives, or is it that you have over time as an entity and your fellow volunteers and professionals that you just get together when it's time to do something good for the environment, or is it just by chance?
Well, I'm happy to say that it's not just us anymore. I think more and more people are coming on board. I mean, every year, whenever we have things like Forest Trek, and that's where we encourage people to spend some time in the forest and learn something about the environment. Mm-hmm. The numbers of people that want to come increase every year. Mm-hmm. Every year, when we have things like on February 2, the World Wetlands Day celebration, we also see not only more people participating, but more organizations. International Coastal Cleanup, which is a mainstay in the activities.
Sorry, hold a moment. We'll give you an opportunity to complete that sentence. One moment, please.
You're listening to Pearl 106 FM. The time is now
4:30.
Yes, Mr. Henry, thank you very much for holding the line. I think you were going on to talk about involvement in another area, is it?
International Coastal Cleanup.
Right.
I'm saying even in that event, which is usually held in September, we've seen steady increases in terms of the number of people that are participating, and we're very encouraged by that. But until every one of us are out there at these events, event, making sure that we're playing our part, and of course also not doing those things that that cause us to need that kind of thing, then there's always more to be done.
Yes. Well, we want to congratulate you on the work that you continue to do and all the other stakeholders. We trust that the rest of us who are not yet on board will come on board sooner than later, so that we can make a difference. And we recommit to providing a platform to dealing with these pressing matters in terms of our environment, or protection and care for our environment. So yes.
Thank you very much, and allow me to thank you for always being willing to talk about these matters and bringing it to the attention of your listeners. Without media practitioners like you, our job would be that much harder.
Well, we're humbled to hear that. Thank you so much. And we couldn't do it without you either. You are the ones, after all, doing the heavy lifting, aren't you?
Well, we're happy to do the heavy lifting as long as it results in the outcome that we all want to see.
Well said. Thanks a lot. All the best, and continue to enjoy International Mother Earth Day.
Thank you very much, and take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So that's Mr. Ainsley Henry, Conservator of Forests, CEO of the Forestry Department, speaking with us on this International Mother Earth Day 2024. Some information. The General Assembly designated the 22nd of April as International Mother Earth Day through a resolution adopted in 2009. The original roots go back to the 1970s, when environmental protection was not yet a priority of the national political agendas. The UN Conference on the Human Environment, 1972, in Stockholm, marked the beginning of a global awareness of the interdependence between people, other living species, and our planet, as well as the establishment of World Environment Day on the 5th of June and the UN Environment Programme. In 1992, Agenda 21, the Rio Declaration on Environment and Development, and the Statement of Principles for the Sustainable Management of Forests were adopted by more than 178 governments at the Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit, the first major conference in which sustainable development was the main issue discussed by member states. From then on, all efforts to conserve the environment experienced an exponential growth, and the Earth Summit in Johannesburg in 2002 was another example. The Declaration of 2008 as the International Year of Planet Earth, the UN official Mother Earth Day Declaration, Rio Plus 20, resulting in a focused political outcome document, which contains clear and practical measures for implementing sustainable development. And recently, the Climate Action Summit 2019 and COP 2025, both focusing on the achievement of the Paris Agreement. The United Nations celebrates this observance through the Harmony with Nature initiative, a platform for global sustainable development that celebrates annually an interactive dialogue on International Mother Earth Day. Topics include methods for promoting a holistic approach to harmony with nature, and an exchange of national experiences regarding criteria and indicators to measure sustainable development in harmony with nature. So we thank you very much for indulging us as we paused to recognize, honor, and celebrate International Mother Earth Day 2024. Let's continue with more here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Cleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. And we're going to take your calls as usual. 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. Text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. All right, let's see who this is now. Hello. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Oh, give thanks to the patient, listening, and wrap of attention
Yes.
to the man, you know. So give thanks greatly to this moment from the 21st to the 24th, 1966, when His Majesty visited Jamaica, you know. So I, black people, sons and daughters, celebrating this visit, you know. So now you ask the man to use him eye office and play this reason pan few things pan it, you know. Published by Jamaica Green now. It's a happy groundation day. Grange, proud of Rastafari. Find it down at my reason pan a thing pan it.
No, I don't think we'll be able to.
You know, long, you know, just a little thing. Just two lines and me stop you. I mean, when you go through all right, through time, you know?
What we're trying to avoid is the dead air. That's the problem. That's the problem.
All right, so we can go on that then.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, so I, sons and daughter, you know, calling upon this Jamaica government, you know, for freedom, redemption, international repatriation. Because from 1966, when His Majesty come here, he invite us, Rastafari at King's House, you know, and give us the Imperial Lion of Judah, golden insignia, you know, medallion, you know, to represent him, you know, the strength and pride of an African sovereignty, the authority to govern ourselves, you know, as a proud black independent nation, you know, a sovereign nation, you know. So from 66, these two political parties reformed Jamaica government to free the people, them, you know. Because His Majesty tell I say we mustn't come home until we liberate the people, you know. So we are here, you know, to liberate the people, you know, find the people to the strength and pride of a black sovereignty of our own, you know. Ethiopia, Africa, you know, crowned, you know, black crowned of our own, you know. So we're calling upon Her Excellency Babsy Grange, Her Excellency Babsy Grange, you know, to come and address the nation and point the people to Africa, you know. Because she received such honor, she said she received such honor as Her Excellency on the behalf of the black population here in Jamaica, you know, and Rastafari in general, you know. So the media and the government to flood the place with black culture, you know, pointing back the people to a black consciousness, a African consciousness, black pride, black empowerment of ourselves, you know, as a people, you know, and stop tail back America and England and France, you know, and Canada. We see come down here, train the son and the daughter, to go send them a yeti, to go a battlefront, to go kill off themselves, you know, saying? We don't know what these tyrants of the world want with us. You know, France, America, Canada, England, the whole of them. What they want with us. You know, set us free with 7 or 9 miles of Black Star Liner to return home. You know, and the United Nations are the next one in this judgment, you know. And the other day we catch him in the Congo and smuggle gun and drugs, you know, and the United Nations led back in, you know, see, France, and America and Canada and CARICOM leaders puppet government, you know see it, they go in a Haiti, you know see it, they come fulfill their interests, you know, cause them colonize Haiti, France colonize Haiti, you know see it, America occupy much 10 years, you know see it, England, Canada, the whole of them, they under in this judgment, you know see it, trying to cut us off from being a proud black independent nation. And then them are publishing at them foreign press about gang. They have a gang in the world. You know see it? It's America and England and France and Germany. You know see it do gang and divide up a continent and its people. You know see it? Scramble Africa and scatter its people all over the globe. Them are the other gang in the world. You know see them there? And them are come train we son and we daughter, turn them in a bone man, both police and soldier. In this judgment for Haiti. You know see it? American ways that not our ways. Gonna enemy to man. You know? So the man say, man, the little one gun, you couldn't go take it say you have a fight it by ignorance. You have a bigger one to shoot you down. That's why the white men never want the black soldiers gun. Because them fighting so you have to use it upon them. Turn it back upon them one idea, you know? So we serve ourselves, you know? The black contingent here in Jamaica, we must have a mind or a heart of our own. In every man chest there beats a heart. You know? So we know if you get a lick in on the head, you can't see yourself. To make these tyrants, the white men, you know see it, are pushing our back front to go kill off yourself and destroy the nation. You know see it when time should have come to an African connection, a black connection. You know see it, amongst yourself as a people, you know see it. Find for that spirit of brotherhood amongst yourself, you know see it. Because democracy, constitutional monarchy system of government that destroy the world, to genocide in the world and chaos. Earthquake, lightning and thunder in Jamaica rule. We call upon Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Mark Golding, you know, alternative Prime Minister to set us free. Set us free under the banners of the red, black and green and the red, gold and green floating over us. You know, see it? God bless our Negro side and keep Ethiopia free to advance in truth and right and in love and light. You know? Come off a black man shoulder now, America, England and France. You know, see it? At the time to deal with our affair now, you know? Our black affair. Return to our farmer glory as the first ruling power upon earth, said the Most High. Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. Happy celebration, you know, see it, visitation of the kings of kings and the lords of lords. You know, see it, and we pray we could have celebrated the next one on the shores of Ethiopia. You know, see it. The man said, millions now are safely landed over the golden shore, yet there is room for millions more, you know. So we give thanks. You know, see, the man said, our children are lustily calling from over the distant sea. Like voice through the dim pass has spoken, and Ethiopian black people shall stretch forth our hands and heart unto God, you know. But we are going to stretch forth our hands and heart unto God, you know, by seeing our black selves, you know, accepting our black self, because we couldn't see God unless we see ourselves, you know. We couldn't see God unless we see ourselves, our black self, you know, humanity. Because without humanity, there is no God. Now, so man of right is God in flesh, and men of wrong is Satan. Woman of right is God in flesh, and women of wrong is Satanist, you know. So right is standard, and right is of God, and wrong is of the devil, you know. That's
and right now we have to go. We have to go to the break now, Russ Lloyd. Sorry about that.
Oh, good thanks. Take care of yourself and more time upon us. No problem. Guidance until you need.
All right.
And you go see it over on the golden shore. You know, I remember some years say I go, you know. So we are waiting, you know.
All right. Take care.
Good talk.
All right. Cool.
All right.
Cool. Let's continue with more.
4:45. Power 106 FM, the digital sound, and now reaching you in more ways. Listen to us on 106.1 to 106.9 on the FM band. You can also listen to us on the Power 106 FM app, which you can download on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can tune in on your mobile phones by dialing 631-359-8281 if you're in the US. And if you're in the UK, you can dial 0330-606-0953. Plus, listen to us on onespotmedia.com and the One Spot Media app, or log on to go-jamaica.com. Power 106 FM, where all views can contend, giving you powerful talk radio in so many ways, on air and online.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story. Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. 13 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you done your homework yet? If not, now is a good time. Good afternoon to all the students listening to us, all the schoolers from the early childhood level to the secondary level. Trust you had a productive day of learning today. Hope you also managed to get in some physical activity, just as important as mental activity. As we always say, young people, socialization makes you educable. Education makes you trainable. Training makes you employable. And the right attitude makes you successful. Homework time, young people. And parents and guardians, do you know where your children are? Are they where they're supposed to be, doing what they're supposed to be doing? It's a good time to check up on the children. And we say hello as well to all working Jamaicans tuned into both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Trust you had a productive day and all the very best. A few more messages right now. Who is this now? This one says, greetings, Dervan. Today marks the final day of Jamaica's ska music delegations to the World Music Fairs in New York, 1964. The members of the delegation included the then Minister Edward Siaga, along with Miss Jamaica Carol Crawford, and businessmen Ronnie Nasrallah and Ken Khoury. And there's a picture here to tell the full story. Blue Beat and Ska, the Jamaican delegates to the 1964 World's Fair in New York City, ready to head to Palisadoes Airport, April 1964. From left to right, in the front, Jimmy Cliff, Eric Monty Morris, and Alfonso Castro. Standing from left to right is Prince Buster, Linda Jack, Roy Willis, Sonia Blake, Byron Lee, Janet Phillips, Carol Crawford, Ronnie Nasrallah, Beverly Neath, and Ken Khoury. You should see the picture. And more than that, there's a video. There's a video as well. So the caption says, note today marks two important events in the UK and USA as we celebrate 60 years of Jamaica music going international. Two unprecedented fundamental events on both continents, Europe and America, in the said year of 1964. 2 times 60 double golden jubilees, milestone, chronicle, or story. Jamaican ska blue beat music genre and culture. Prince Buster landed at London Heathrow Airport Tuesday, 25th of February 1964. Prince Buster and the Jamaican ska Q headed to the 1964 World's Fair, New York. Please note, Dervan, Danny Buster is available for an interview if you choose to do so. All right, we'll see how that goes. Thank you very much. Good to hear from you. Let's go to this call here. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Mr. Malcolm. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The feature safe to speak. Is it discontinued?
I think they what you call it. You know, when you set a program over a particular period, there are breaks. So there's an end, whether contractually or otherwise. That came to an end, and it's just a matter of well, I don't want to tell you what to do. Yes.
It's just that it just ended abruptly because I remember Mr. Grenell, I think they were having something. I'm going to use the word like a conference. I think it was for myself, and then that was it.
Yes.
So yeah, you just left you hanging. Yes. It's unfortunate. So understand.
Yeah. But we'll bear that in mind though, and see what can come from this call.
Okay, then all right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Bye-bye. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Paro 106 FM, and we still have some time, still taking your calls on 876-922-4112 to 5, 876-922-4112 to 5, and the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. And here's another message from Paul Campbell. Please note Dervan Danny Buster is available. Oh, we read that already. Who will be celebrating the occasion on their US tour, which begins later this. Who's going to do this? Okay. All right, we'll follow up on that. Horace, otherwise known as Spider, has sent us a few messages. Is this the same Delroy from Mutty Days? I have no idea. It can't be. Delroy was the bastion of the Constitution. I don't think this is the same Delroy. If someone asked me to describe the PM time in office, I would say it run like a round town car, but as soon as you take it on the country road, all types of things start happening, overheating and all. That car must go straight to the garage until it is ready for the road. He's not ready, in my opinion. He's not. Edmund Bartlett is a better pick, says this person. Who is it? Horace, otherwise known as Spider. And another message. When I hear about the emergency meeting for the JLP over the weekend, I think they were going to change the leader, but sadly they didn't do so. So I don't think they really know what is the problem. They need to put their ears on the ground and they will hear what is the problem, not who they change around yesterday. That's Horace, otherwise known as Spider. And Rohan Johnson of Atlas Ocho Rios says, happy birthday to my aunt Andrea Wilson, aka Gigi, from Lime Hall, St. Anne, coming from Sophian Hyde from Atlas Ocho Rios, and good friend Rohan Johnson from Atlas Ocho Rios. We have cleared those. Here's another message. What's this saying now? I think it maybe meant afternoon. All a bidding. Chesna, let me say this. We are all born in sin, and let me say this. God is watching us all. And then he goes to the Bible saying this 2 times 3 verse 13. A translation. All right. See if you can help us, please, Mac, otherwise known as Bunty. We would love to read your message, but uh, it 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 needs a little more work so we can understand it even better. How about that, Mac? Thank you. And can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Monday, the 22nd of April, 2024. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it. All things being well, both sides of the story returns tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm reminding all of us that every day is an opportunity to do better than yesterday. Take care. Hello, Ms. Barker.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
5 o'clock.
News, comprehensive, powerful, and credible. Power 106 FM now presents a simulcast of Radio Jamaica's News at 5.